This video is brought to you by 1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your air conditioning compressor with an AC bypass pulley. Now, you might say, why would you want to do that? Well, this car is a good example. It's 13 years old, the AC hasn't worked for some time, we don't want to spend a lot of money on it, so we're going to replace the compressor, which might cost $600 or $700 to replace. We're going to put in this $45 pulley, and it's going to work just like it did before. The AC is not going to work. First step in any time that you remove your serpentine belt is first you want to find this sticker on your car.
This sticker shows you how your accessory drive belt is routed. Sometimes it's found up on the hood like this car, or down near the radiator, or possibly on the fender.
The hardest part of this procedure is probably reinstalling the serpentine belt. And if you don't have this diagram beforehand, then make sure you take a lot of pictures of how your serpentine belt is routed. Because believe me, after half an hour of toiling around, when you go back to put that serpentine belt on, you're going to forget exactly how it was routed, and it can be very difficult if you don't have either a diagram or a lot of good pictures to help you out. Disconnect your positive battery cable.
Become familiar with the different components your serpentine belt drives and relate them back to your diagram. First, here's your alternator, there on the engine, located there on the diagram in the red. Next is your water pump, located down below the alternator and there in red on the diagram. And then after that, down below those two is your AC bypass pulley. The arrows here indicate the two front bolts. And now you can see it's here down low on the red in your diagram. Here's your hydraulic power steering pump, noted here in red on the diagram. And number 1 shows you your crank pulley, located here on the diagram. And then number 2 shows you your tensioner pulley, located there on the diagram. And most importantly, what 2 shows you is the bolt that you'll have to connect a wrench to and pull clockwise on to loosen the serpentine belt.
To remove the serpentine belt, I have a wrench on the belt tensioner and I'm pulling that wrench clockwise, and while I'm pulling up on that wrench, I'm reaching down and pulling the belt off the pulleys.
Be careful as you're releasing the tension on the tensioner with the wrench, because the wrench could go back and pinch your hand in between something.
After removing the belt, inspect it, and you can see there's some cracks on the groove side. Those are okay, as long as the back side is okay as well. But here you can see as I went through the belt, there's a crack in it, actually right where they joined it together, so this belt will need to be replaced. Here you see the AC charge inlet. On our car there was no pressure. If you do suspect your car may have pressure, you do need to take it to a qualified dealer to have the pressure removed from the system first. Now we're going to remove the compressor. We start by locating the connector, the electrical connector, into the compressor, as you can see by the arrow here. And then this is a view of the connector itself. You would reach down and kind of pull on the connector and pry with a small screwdriver to pull it up. Kind of hard to really video the actual disconnection, so just a look at the connector itself. Next, use a 15mm wrench to disconnect the lines on the back of the AC compressor, and then remove the bolt. Now remove the 2 front bolts, and the best way to do this is a deep socket. We kind of cobbled together both a socket and a small extension, as you can see here. Next, we're going to remove the rear mounting bolt, number 1. And we're going to do this with a extension and a flex joint, as you can see here. And then I'm going to route that in this next shot, in behind the manifold to access the bolt right there. Now, as you can see here, once the bolts are removed, the compressor drops down below the car and out. So here's the compressor and the bypass pulley. 2 mount bolts in the front line up with those 2 bolts, and then the 2 rear holes line up there. So we're ready to go ahead and install it. Installation is pretty much the reverse of taking it out. You get the pulley up in there, put the 2 front bolts in and the rear bolt, and then tighten them up. Here you can see the pulley installed. Now here's a rear view, and you can see there's even a spot on the pulley to bolt the lines to so they're not flopping around. Now we're going to install the belt. I've already routed the belt on there, and what I'm pointing to there is the wrench that I have on the tensioner pulley already. Now I'm going to push down on that wrench and move the tensioner pulley so that it's applying less tension to the belt. And as you can see, as I'm pushing it down, the belt is kind of getting less tension around the alternator. And then I'm going to reach down while applying that pressure and get the belt around the water pump, which is the smooth pulley. It's always easiest to put the smooth on last. And now I've got the belt on there, and I take the wrench out. And we're all set. We hope this video has helped you fix your noisy AC compressor. Remember, this video was brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.